Here's what you'll get if you stay: a ruthless breakdown of why Plum Village's The Pine Gate lands where other spiritual cinema floats, how it turns story beats, inciting incident, threshold, midpoint cost, all is lost, final image, into a stealth sutra you can feel in your chest without a single sermon. The provocation. Doctrine doesn't move culture, cinema grammar does. If your message needs a lecture to explain itself, it's a pamphlet. The Pine Gate runs a different play. It pulses, it doesn't preach. It times silence like percussion, edits on breath, and lets ordinary stakes, a door, a path, a decision refused too long, carry the weight that epics fake with swelling strings. You leave with fewer slogans and a body that has already rehearsed the turn from avoidance to contact. That's not content, that's conditioning. Most Buddhist films sell incense and metaphysics. The Pine Gate sells latency reduction. The time from contact to clean response shrinks while you watch. Call that art. Call that Dharma. I call it story as operating system. We'll map the beats, name the antagonist, not a villain, noise, and explain why the protagonist is not the monk on screen. It's you, the viewer, whose nervous system is being tuned in real time. If that sounds manipulative, good, because all cinema manipulates. This one chooses mercy as the payload. If your spirituality collapses under fluorescent lights, blame your stories, not your vows. The Pine Gate fixes that without asking permission. Pull up a chair. Sutras aim at understanding. Story aims at identification. Identification outruns argument because the nervous system doesn't wait for reasons. It mirrors bodies and follows intention. The Pine Gate treats sutra lines into being: non-fear, no mud, no lotus, as subtextual stakes, and let's beats carry them. You don't hear no birth, no death. You watch a threshold, a gate, make the false binary irrelevant. You don't hear interbeing. You feel place, wind, pine, surface textures magnetize attention until the boundary around me stops hogging CPU cycles. Here's the craft. Inciting incident is not a crisis, but a small refusal, a glance, a breath held too long. First threshold is literal, a gate, a path, and internal. Consent to be changed by contact. Fun and games, the promise of the premise, arrives as tiny victories, a footstep that matches bell timing, a frame that lets background lead. Midpoint raises cost. The device that stabilized you, ritual routine, fails. You must carry presence without props. All is lost is quiet. The character returns to the old hallway and realizes there's no unknowing. Final image is not a moral, it's posture. Plum Village cinema doesn't argue emptiness, it renders it: negative space, foreground silence, diegetic sound unpolished. That's not aesthetic minimalism. That's instruction, latency, collapsing. Your body understands before your mind composes an essay. Sutra becomes a beat sheet becomes behavior. You exit with fewer opinions and better timing. The trick that makes the Pine Gate land: viewer as hero. There is no conquering monk, no guru arc, no cathartic speech. The camera refuses to crown a savior. It crowns place and sequence. When POV stays humble, the audience steps forward to complete the circuit. That's ethical technology. It blocks guru capture and turns attention into a commons. How it works: close shots introduce tactile detail, wood grain, cloth, condensation, so mirror neurons have something to chew. Lonely wides dissolve the ego's center of frame entitlement. Neutral lensing denies melodramatic bias, leaving your nervous system to supply meaning. The result is sneaky. You start matching the film's breath. The cut cadence teaches pacing. The held shot teaches urgency without boredom. That's training disguised as watching. Most spiritual films either flatter the viewer, you're special, or scold, wake up. The Pine Gate does neither. It invites, here is a gate, here is a body, here is weather, here is the cost of delay, cross or don't. The only persuasion is relief felt when posture changes. That's why it scales across cultures. The proposition is physiological, not doctrinal. Refusing a hero also prevents outsourcing. You can't worship the character and skip the work. There is no personality to project onto. The film keeps the screen clean so your habits become visible. When you notice your impulse to rush the cut, that's you noticing your impulse to rush life. Congratulations, you just met the protagonist. There's no villain. The enemy is latency, the half second between contact and clean response, where panic, performance, and procrastination multiply. The Pine Gate hunts that half second by engineering friction. Diegetic sound wins over score. Without violins to tell you what to feel, you must feel. Cut on breath replaces cut on dialogue. Your chest becomes the metronome. Story rides lungs, not plot. Refusal of coverage, no safety angles, minimal inserts, denies the brain its candy. It must stay with the frame. Asymmetrical repetition, same corridor, altered gate, exposes tiny upgrades in presence. You catch improvements your ego would miss. Noise reduction is the Dharma here. Remove what inflames reactivity. Keep what keeps contact. Watch how the film avoids reaction shots that would center ego drama. It prefers environment shots that center conditions. That is interbeing without the word. Events are context moved, not hero authored. The plot, therefore, is simple. Learn to arrive. Each beat is another attempt to place body and attention in the same coordinate system. Stakes are small on paper, huge in experience. Can you cross a gate without dragging your past through it like furniture? The antagonist whispers, later. The edit answers, now, or your life will be a well-lit hallway of almosts. Let's pin the bones to the table. Opening image, a world already complete without us. Wind in pines, ambient labor of light. Thesis, your story is not the center. Theme stated silently. A threshold means nothing if your attention refuses to cross. Inciting incident, an arrival we almost miss, a figure, a bell, a hand hesitating on grain. Stakes, not life or death, delay or contact. Debate, the micro wobble, look back, check phone, invent a reason. The cut waits, we feel the cost of stall. Break into two, commitment disguised as choreography, foot, breath, space, a line. The camera doesn't congratulate, no glory shot, so you supply meaning, fun and games, montage of simple tasks that are secretly hard, door, path, tea. The promise of the premise, ordinary objects can host non-fear. Midpoint, false defeat. Silence expands until it threatens comfort. The usual crutch, narration, music, fails. We must carry attention unassisted. That's where many mindfulness films blink. This one doesn't. Bad guys close in. Fatigue, thought glitter, self-commentary. Frames lengthen, sound thins. The audience's fidgets become diegetic. Your own body is now on the soundtrack. All is lost. A return to the threshold with no victory music. Did nothing change? The heartbreak of inconclusive growth. Dark night, the camera holds. The only way out is through honest arrival. Again. Break into three, micro surrender, no performance, just consent to be here as the room actually is. Finale, tasks repeat, now untheatrical. The win is boring competence. final image, the same world, undramatic, now usable. Sutra delivered without a line. Arrive or a life of almosts. That beat sheet is not Hollywood lipstick. It's human rhythm tuned to consequence. The Pine Gate lands because it respects the nervous system's appetite for sequence and pays it with quiet outcomes, not speeches. This film's metaphysics live in materials. Color script runs cool to warm as arrival stabilizes. It never shouts. The shift is more blood flow than palette swap. Textures carry doctrine. Pine bark equals time, stone equals drag, steam equals impermanence, cloth equals interface between skin and world. You don't need a caption your fingers understand. The bell is not mystical, it's a clock. Its decay tail sets the length of a thought. When the ring stops before your story does, you learn how much drama you add to nature's envelope. That's Dharma as physics. Framing does ethics. Doors centered with a hair of a symmetry so perfectionism doesn't hijack. Horizon lines steady so the audience doesn't inherit director's anxiety. Faces rarely dominate frame so conditions keep top billing. Even the reflections are honest. No magical flares, just surfaces telling the truth about light and sound. Footfall is the sermon. You hear the weight of choices you will never see typed. The mix leaves air in every room. The space is a character who refuses to be bulldozed by score. When music finally appears, if it does, it enters like a guest who got invited, not a rescuer who steals the third act. That restraint is rare. It reads as trust in the audience, in place, in causality. Everything whispers the same line. You are made of contact. Fixed contact, not the cosmos. That's the sutra written on wood and breath. Spiritual media often becomes charisma vending, close-ups of a face you're supposed to adore, aphorisms merch ready by the third beat. The Pine Gate refuses. It distributes authority to rhythm, place, and task. That editorial governance does three things: prevents projection. With no messianic close-ups, you cannot collapse your agency into a personality. You either arrive or you don't. Centers repair. Repetition of tasks signals that freedom is maintenance, not a miracle. That's anti-brand. Brands sell spikes. This sells boring reliability, keeps receipts. The teaching is falsifiable. Does your latency shrink while watching? Do you breathe differently? If not, the film failed for you. No aura defense allowed. Even the title, The Pine Gate, names infrastructure, not a person. Gate equals threshold plus policy. Who enters, under what conditions, with what behavior? The Dharma here is procedural. Publish the doorway. Let adults choose. This is Plum Village ethics, translated to cinema. Soft on mystique, hard on operations. You exit with a taste for structures that make tenderness cheap and grandstanding expensive. That's how art inoculates practice against cults. It plants desire for systems over saviors. The result is quieter than rockstar Dharma and 10 times more dangerous to your habits. I don't care what a film believes. I care what my nervous system can do when it's over. The Pine Gate lands because it smuggles Dharma through beats your body already trusts. Approach, hesitate, cross, carry, repeat. No icons required, no speeches needed. Just a gate you can't unsee, and the humiliating knowledge that arriving is always the work. So here's the unromantic verdict. If a spiritual film gives you quotes but not timing, it sold you posture cosplay. If it gives you timing, it gave you freedom on Tuesday. The Pine Gate does the latter. It trains the metric that matters, time to contact, without asking you to clap for anyone. That's why it scales. That's why it withstands fluorescent light. And that's why you'll remember a door more vividly than any doctrine it could have printed on the screen. Cinema is a weapon. Most use it to inflate the self or sedate the ache. This one uses it to shorten the lag between seeing and serving. You can keep your epiphanies. I'll take shaved seconds and a cleaner mouth. If your stories don't make arrival inevitable, rewrite them or stop calling them Dharma.